Hello, so today we're getting an early look at set 13, the upcoming set of TFT that is based off of Arcane. So very excited to try this out. I was playing a little bit on stream today. I had to cut it short because, just a little bit busy with some other stuff. But we're going to be playing live on stream for a while this week, and then we're also going to be uploading a lot of those VODs onto this channel just to introduce a lot of these changes. You'll notice that everything looks different. You got the whole little Piltover accents on the augments and all sorts of stuff like that. Over here, I see this Mace as well. This is a new augment. I'm gonna end up taking it. It's gain of sparring gloves. Your team gains 8% attack speed and 20% critical strike chance. Look at my items. I'm like, well, I can easily start off by making an IE, and then I could just go around some sort of crit AD build is what I was thinking about. Something that I did want to try out, I've been hearing that Jinx is very, very strong. So if you don't know, Jinx is a 5 cost in this set, and she is one of the strongest 5 costs in my opinion. If we go through the champions, I'll try and introduce the different stuff as I go along and try and explain some of the new stuff that you'll see around the new set. But basically, one thing you'll notice on the left hand side, the item bench is now changing. I don't know if it's limited in any way. I know that if you get a bunch of components, you can make items inside the little side thing without having to build them on units. I'm not quite sure. Somebody can let me know. I actually don't know how to scout other people's items anymore. I don't know if that's just removed from the game. If it is, that's pretty sad to me. But basically, there's no longer an item bench. There's this new method of on the left hand side. Note, this is PBE. I want to be very clear about that. The set isn't released just yet. The set still has a week until it's fully released to the public and all the final changes are done. The units won't change drastically, but there's a lot of balancing that will occur within this next week, as well as any sort of small changes, augments, things like that. So make sure to keep that in mind when you're looking at my board as well as other people's boards. But new item bench on the side, that's basically how it works. So I think the remover has the same rules as before. You can build items outside or during battle as well. You don't have to build them on the bench anymore. So it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to. That's gonna be you'll probably see me fumbling a lot around that, and that's just me trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Here, already from a start, you'll see that I have the trait in of Rebel and I have Sentinel in. So Sentinel is your go-to, just gives armor to your whole team type of frontline trait. And Rebel, I'll try and show it here. This is probably when we're going to end up playing this game. When I'm looking at the game, it's PBE. I'm just trying to find something that I can just play around and just worry about a little bit later. Rebel is like a frontline / backline trait. It gives HP, and it also gives you some extra AD and AP. If you read it, after your team loses 30% of their health, a smoke signal appears, granting rebels 60% attack speed for 4 seconds and for the rest of combat. So it kind of has a little bit of an attack speed, a little bit of a front line. This is one of those major vertical traits where you'll try and play as many units as possible. 7 rebel also gives you a stun for 2 seconds, so that seems really strong. And if we look at the different units, the main carries that you'll see, Zoe, which is an AP unit. But probably if you're playing Zoe, you're probably trying to fit in Rebel with Sorcerer in most cases. Zoe's also really good at doing AoE damage because she has that, the ball bouncing effect, so she hits multiple units. And then Jinx. Jinx is the big one. That's what we're going to talk about. I really want to try out Jinx as a 5 cost. Jinx is very, very strong. Jinx basically... the way that she works is she will do one of 3 different attacks each time that she casts, and it goes in order. So she'll start with Zap, then she'll do the Flame Chompers, and then the one that you'll see, especially late in the game, it's like a meme, it's hilarious, is the Death Rocket. It is so much damage. It is insane. So it also has an effect of a further away type of thing. It's nuts. So we're basically trying to play ourselves towards Jinx. As you can see, I kind of set myself up in the game towards playing a 4 cost / 8 cost maybe comp, right? 4 cost / 5 cost comp if I'm playing around Rebel. So I make IE. Eventually IE will go on Jinx. There's lots of intermediate boards that we can work out and think about on the way there. But basically, I'm just going to try and be as strong as possible. I just have IE on one of my Rebel units. I have an augment that gives you attack speed and crit chance. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and build a crit Jinx. What I want to do is I just want Jinx to have over 100% crit chance. She fires the rocket and the whole board wipes. That's my end goal here. It's PBE, so I just want to try it out. I'm not saying this is the best thing to play. I'm not playing super flexibly either. I'm just trying to think to myself, okay, let's just get something that I saw. Let's just try it out. The same with like different traits. There's a couple games today. I was talking a lot on stream. I was really distracted. So, they didn't go as well. But, I tried Conquerors for the first time. I tried Ambessa. I tried a couple stuff. It's just like, let's just get like a benchmark, see how things operate, figure out how things are going, and then we'll figure it out. Something else you'll notice is loot subscription. So loot subscription means that the game is going to be a little bit more varied. You're going to get a bunch of stuff, a couple drops. As you can see, everybody has a support item. That's because of loot subscription. So my support item, I just took something that's pretty generic to play around, which is like, Moonstone Gem, which just gives shielding and gives some sustainability to the rest of my team. Rebels, like the main thing when I was introducing the trait though, is Rebels, like they kind of have this effect, like once you take a certain amount of damage, then it activates the Rebel trait. So I feel like with Moonstone Gem giving my board a bit of survivability, it all kind of synergizes kind of okay, or kind of well together. But like I said, we're just going to try our best to tempo ourselves to a level 8 board. We'll try and shove in as many synergies as we see fit that can fit together. And then when the time comes, we're going to try and go level 9 and then play around Jinx. And that's like our little goal for today. Just to try out the Rebel trait, see how we feel about it, excuse me. I'm not sure about this augment being particularly strong. I am stacking a lot of crit chance. It's hard to tell how strong certain augments are because nobody's really building optimally in PBE. There's not good stats. That's something that really comes together once the set actually releases. So we're more just trying to make a benchmark for when changes occur so that we can understand what units or what boards we can kind of make, what units we can rely on, who our main damage dealers are, what items they prefer to have. Because that's something you can either figure out by trial and error or then look at the stats later. That's like, am I building Guinsu IE or am I building IE Shojin? Do I need to cast a bunch? Am I making blue buff? Am I making red buff? Stuff like that. But anyways, I'm just starting with this IE, slammed a couple items. I'm win streaking these early games. Other people's boards I can't comment too much on. If there's something you see that's interesting, make sure to shout it out. And also you can shout out whatever builds you're going along the way. That's totally fine. Set 13, super excited about it, and we're just gonna try our best. I'm also watching Arcane. I finished season 1. I'm gonna catch up on season 2. I was talking about it a lot on stream, but good show all around. I'm not a big league head, so like a lot of like the league aspects of it don't really appeal to me, or I don't really care that much about it. I just play TFT. I didn't come from league and then play TFT like some of you may have. But this whole set is themed around it, so I figured I should just like get a basic knowledge of it, so that if people make references or stuff, like I don't want to be in that realm of like not knowing who anybody is. I thought it would be a good time to catch up on some watching shows. But anyways, hopefully your days are going well. PB was down for a lot today. That's why the video is super late. By the time I like got a video, and then I got a video where it actually looked like I can talk about something. It just took a while. I'm hoping that in the future I'll be able to do 2 PBE uploads per day in the same format. I might not do the commentary post. It might be during the game commentary, so the commentary is probably going to be a lot less and maybe less informed, like less hindsight type of situation. And that's just because I want to like dump a lot of PBE content. Because PB is just going to last a week. And I think that's really important, that if you're somebody that likes to watch my videos, you like to hear my voice or the way I explain things, and you think this is like your source of TFT material, I want to make sure that I dump you guys a lot of like, hey, I tried out all of this. This is my experience. You can compare it with your own experiences. And then when the set releases, you'll have your leg up of understanding like, okay, this is what the units look like. This is what the units do, etc. That's like the idea that I at least have going for me. But anyways, I'm just trying to play around Rebels. I put an Artillerist and Sentinel. Sentinel is like a frontline trait. It just gives armor. So it gives your whole team a little bit of armor. So that's good. A lot of the frontline traits. So Sentinel, Bruiser, which is... Sentinel revolves on armor and MR. Bruiser revolves around HP. And then there's one more that revolves around like giving shields or something. Shields or durability. It's the same as most sets of TFT. They made it really flexible though, because the Sentinel trait gives armor to your whole team. And the Bruiser trait gives HP to your whole team. So it's actually very nice to just have these nice 2 traits that you can just put in, get yourself some frontline going, and then be really strong. Here you'll notice that I got a tier, so I decided to make a Shojin. Something, as you can see in my team planner, I have all the rebels in here. I definitely want to play around Jinx or Zoe. Zoe being an AP unit would love to have some sort of mana generation item, and Jinx as well. From what I could understand, because she most of her damage is tied to like the rocket, it's really broken, and it's comical how much damage it does we'll watch it when we get there later in the game. Eventually I'll hit a Jinx and you can see what I'm talking about. But because Jinx has to like cast a bunch, basically every cast she alternates. She goes in a cycle of those 3 abilities that I was talking about before. So with Jinx, you really want to have some sort of mana item on her, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but it would be surprising to me if she didn't love to have a mana item. And then here I'm looking at the stuff. I have either Expiring Epitaph or this Blazing Soul. I decided to just try Blazing Soul because it's a new augment. Basically, it just gives attack speed. And with all the other units, I have a augment that gives me a bunch of crit chance. I have an augment that gives me attack speed. Rebels gives AD, AP, and attack speed after a certain point. And it also stuns if I hit 7 Rebel. So I'm kind of down to just like stack combat augments and just like play towards like this Giga Juiced Jinx that's going to do an insane amount of damage. But like I was saying before, because Jinx has this like, cast once, do this ability, cast twice, do this ability, cast 3 times, do massive damage. I feel like you want some sort of mana item on her, so I'm really inclined to just early slam Shojin, right? To me, I'm like, yep, we're just gonna make Shojin. If I get stuck that I need to put on a Zoe, I'll put on a Zoe. If I don't put on a Zoe, I'll then just put on the Jinx, and we're all on board for that at least. We're still win streaking. My win streak is gonna come to an end eventually. It is loot sub. People are gonna hit spatulas. They're gonna hit like their strong units and stuff like that. And stuff like that. So we just want to try and like tempo our way, keep a high HP threshold. Jinx is a 5 cost, so it might be really hard to hit a Jinx, especially on level 8. So we want to probably try and get to level 9. It is PBE, so I'm not sure how realistic this will be when the set launches. It kind of comes down to how strong rerolls are. 5 costs are always limited by like, getting to an actual level where you can hit the 5 cost that you want. So we always have to be really careful about like structuring our strategy around a 5 cost. Here I'm more inclined to just say to myself, it's PBE. People are trying stuff out. Some people are even trolling. Like, nobody's taking it like severe, like very seriously. So you have a little bit more leeway to try and force towards something and try it out, if that makes sense. Anyways, hopefully everybody's having a great day, and things are going wonderfully for everybody else. We'll see what we hit on Carousel here. Eventually, we're going to have to roll a little bit. We're starting to fall off really hard because we're mostly just playing around some 1 cost, and we have this Ezreal that we hit, which is a Rebel. So I'm just trying to play around this mid-game Rebel board. I think that the Rebels, I've played it twice now, but the other time I had like a Rebel-related augment. Both times it felt pretty alright in the mid game. It's just a little bit awkward because of your item holders. There's no real like person that can hold Jinx items really well, so you can't like just play vertical Rebel and build Jinx items. You kind of have to like have the out or the plan that you're gonna play around Zoe in most cases if you're trying to play like vertical Rebel. In my experience, having a stun, like a whole board stun, is pretty valuable. 7 Rebel doesn't have like a huge condition on the stun. Like something with Chrono that made it really awkward is that the Chrono stun came like very late in a lot of matches. The Rebel stun seems like it happens pretty early on, so I'm kind of down to try out like if I can eventually hit 7 Rebel and see how the stun kind of works out there. I'm at Crown Guard here. Crown Guard is just a good frontline item. I think Alawi is the main Rebel tank, like the 4 cost Rebel tank. Right, if we go back to the traits, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Synergies, and then we'll go Rebel. Here we go. Let me go like this. Let me go like this. So Alawi is your main tank a lot of the time. So Alawi is Sentinel. What's really cool is that Rebel itself has an inter-team synergy around Sentinels. So a lot of times if you're playing Rebels, you'll play Sentinels, right? Because Irelia with Alawi both work as Sentinels. Eventually when I have Alawi, I'm down to put Crown Guard on Alawi to just make that work out. Jinx is Rebel and Ambusher, so eventually I'll want to play some sort of Ambusher. Ambusher just means that your attacks critically strike and you gain more crit chance. So with my whole crit Jinx build, it will actually work out really well, because my Jinx will have so much extra crit damage that if she gets a crit with a rocket, she's just going to absolutely melt. You also have Set with the option of playing Bruiser as another frontline trait. But set's a 2 cost, so usually if you're playing around these higher cost units, you're probably going to stack items on Alawi. Alawi's AP, so I figure Crown Guard will be pretty good on her. You also don't want to make stuff like gargoyles or like it says here gargoyles looks like it's good on her, but typically if they're a sentinel, they're already gaining armor and MR, so you don't want to make like straightforward armor MR items. You'd rather make like HP or shielding items to synergize with the fact that she innately gets armor and MR. I think Alawi has a built-in passive where she gets more stats off more armor and MR. Yeah, see, so she gets she drains health and it scales off of armor and MR. So that's why with her, if you're not playing vertical sentinel, something like a gargoyle stoneplate might be really, really good on her in specific, outside of the other sentinels, just because she has this health drain effect damage, I guess. The health is based on the AP, so that's something to keep in mind, right? Even though she's a sentinel, you might want to put armor on her. I'll just put crown guard. It gives a little bit of armor, it gives AP. It should be good on her. That's like my thought process making crown guard. But anyways, we'll figure out the board later. I'm not too worried about it because it's gonna be a very high roll game anyways, because it's loot sub, right? Loot sub, anything can happen. You can just start dropping spats and or artifacts, all sorts of shit. So we'll just play it safe. Here I just removed my items in case I find an Alawi at one point. Moonstone Gem I can put on a backline unit. The reason I'm putting on a frontline unit is just because it gives HP. I'm kind of down to just make my frontline unit a little bit more tanky until I have a completed item for them. And then if we look here, I get a bunch of AP items. Normally that would be really scary. I'm holding a Powder on the bench. Powder is a unit in this game that she shares some synergies with Jinx. Probably for obvious reasons. But the idea is that because Powder's a 1 cost unit, I don't know if I'll need her later in the game, so I just want to hold on to a Powder just in case. Here the loot sub gave me an upgraded Sentinel unit, this Loris unit, which is Enforcer Sentinel. Enforcer is another frontline trait, or I think it has like frontline and backline synergies that it can, like frontline or backline like effects that it can both do. But I'm not too worried about trying out Enforcer. I've heard it's really broken, so I'm not too I'm not too keen on trying it out because how do I phrase it? I want to try out stuff that I think is good or important to learn and try out. Like I want to see how Jinx with full crit and mana gen, like those type of things, I want to see how that works on Jinx because that's like to me really important. But if a trait is like overtuned, I don't really care about trying it out in PBE because it's like I'm not learning anything. Like everybody told me it was broken, right? So it's fine. Here we're gonna roll augments. This is gonna be a really interesting one. You'll notice right now, and bang, trait sisters. So there's a lot of these like dual trait ones. Every single one that I've tried out, I don't know what game. Like I've played like 3 games. I got a trait one like this every single game. They're all fucking broken. So if you read it, you gain the sister trait. When Vi scores a takedown, Jinx gets a 75% bonus attack speed for 5 seconds. When Jinx scores a takedown, Vi gets 40% bonus attack speed. Right? 40% bonus attack damage. And I look at this and I think to myself, what the fuck? So it gives you a Vi and a Jinx. Now, if you don't know, Vi is a 4 cost, Jinx is a 5 cost. That is just so much gold. That is so much value, right? If you think back to previous sets, a similar gold augment would be like, gain 2 5 costs and a component. Like that was an augment before. Like this is just a power crept version of that. You gain, not only do you gain a 5 cost, you gain a 5 cost and a 4 cost, and they juice each other. Like I don't know how it's not supposed to be good. So especially me that I was planning on playing towards Jinx anyways, this solves like 99% of my problems, because like the biggest problem with this game was whether or not I was gonna hit Jinx at any point in the game. But now I just get one for free and the unit's probably good. It's a 5 cost. I don't know. It seems really good. So I want to try it out. We're taking it anyways. I get a Vi now, so I wasn't really planning on having Vi items, but I guess that's a thing that I have to worry about. Suffering from success, I get a free copy of Vi. Now, obviously, like I have to play the Vi because the whole sister synergy thing, it's like, I'm going to be down an augment. The augment isn't just get a Jinx, it's also juice them. So here we're going to actually see Jinx in action already at early stage 4. Another thing that's really, really broken about this, I'll talk about it in a couple rounds, but at the end of stage 4, you'll notice that there's a little icon that looks like a little circle. That's the anomaly mechanic. So in set 13, the main set mechanic, you'll notice there's not charms, there's not like anything crazy going on. What happens is you get to pick one unit and you can juice them with some sort of bonus effect. According to them, there's like, I think there's 50 anomalies, and you can roll them for 1 gold, then you put them in and they get giga juiced forever. The problem with anomalies sometimes is that, like, you know, if you're trying to play flexibly, I feel like you might not be able to hit an anomaly that's super broken for your board because it might be hard to hit. But also, you're kind of locked into your comp at 4-6. You can't pivot out of it. Like, you can't go for like a fast 9 setup and then play a bunch of 5 costs later. It's kind of like whatever you have on 4-6, you're gonna have to commit that, at least that unit. You're gonna have to commit to them being like a very important part of your game. Now, I was already talking before that I really want to play around Jinx. I have a Jinx already because of the augment, so I get to juice my Jinx with the anomaly now. One of the bigger problems is that, like, you know, especially on a level 8 roll down, nobody's gonna make it to level 9, so it's very high roll. I would suggest that for everybody, like a good idea this set is to hold on to every 5 cost, right? It's not like set 12 where, you know, certain 5 costs don't fit into your board and you have to commit really early to a board. I would suggest make it a habit of holding on to every 5 cost, especially if you're playing a level 8 board on a level like a level roll down. I know that sounds really obvious, especially veteran TFT players. That's gonna sound like the dumbest shit you have ever heard because it's so obvious, but I'm trying to instill the idea, because let's say I wasn't playing around Jinx, let's say I was just playing any other board. Having a 5 cost with the anomaly sounds broken. So many of these 5 costs are really strong. They seem really good this set. So, you know, especially if you want like late game, like win out conditions, you should hold on to pretty much every 5 cost you see, because maybe you can play around that 5 cost, you can pivot your board, but as long as you have it before 4-6, then you can at least anomaly it, and then you'll be like really strong. So it's very, very important. Another thing that's also maybe a strategy is sacking a little bit, because if you sack onto Carousel, you'll see the guy there just got a Mordekaiser. He can use that Mordekaiser for his anomaly if he's playing like a full Conqueror build or something that actually synergizes with the Mordekaiser. So it's really, really important to find those copies of those units early. It also means, like, in a way, you really want to be uncontested. Because, like, you know, if you have an anomaly on a 1-star unit, or if you're rolling for the same unit as somebody else and you don't hit it in time, it doesn't really matter how much HP you have, because you might run into a problem where you won't be able to, like, fully structure your board or make your board work out really well. Anyways, a couple things here that I want to mention before anything else. First, I'm just, like, trying to rearrange my items. One thing that is really important, you'll notice that there's a Garen on my board. So Garen gives you Emissary. Emissary is a 1 or a 4 trait. So I will try and find Emissary here so I can talk to you about it in a second. This is really important. I know it's like a huge info dump. Please bear with me. I know I'm talking fast and it's like a lot. But it is the first video I'm making for set 13. I guarantee you every video after this will be a lot less talking, just by nature of me not having as much to say, or me doing it live. Also, sorry, maybe I should show this first. This is the anomaly round. Sorry, bad timing on everything in this video. So this is what I mean by anomaly. As you can see, you get some sort of effect, and there's a hexagon in the middle of the screen. You're going to put the Jinx in the hex, and one of these, I'm basically looking for something to juice up this Jinx. My whole board is just revolving around this Jinx now. I don't need an emblem. So here I'm trying to debate which one I want to take for Jinx. I'm reading through all of them. None of these seem super great. Headhunter seems like it's pretty okay, but this one seems like what I want to get. So gain 100% critical strike chance based on the target's missing health, and then you target based on the unit that you based on the unit's lowest health. So now my Jinx is actually a demon. She will just target the lowest health unit that's in range, and she will have more crit chance based on who she's targeting if they have missing HP, and she will absolutely delete them. Something I'm going to try and do right now, I didn't notice, but my crit chance is not showing on the screen because of my box being a little bit too big. There we go. You can see the crit chance. She's at 100% crit chance, and then she has 160 crit damage. If you have an IE, extra crit chance converts into extra crit damage. Crit damage is like the bonus multiplier that you get when you apply a critical strike. So right now I have a Jinx 1. I put the blue buff on Jinx. Blue buff got changed a bit. It gives 10 mana every time you cast, so I feel like it's really good for Jinx, and it also has really good effects on damage amp. I also made a guard breaker. It is a item that uses a crit glove, so I'm down to use it. As you can see, Jinx's crit damage is increasing. She has like 220 crit damage, right? The crit chance stays at 100, but if you have extra crit strike and you have if you have extra critical strike and you have an IE, it converts it into crit damage. So that's what my whole build is. My whole build is to zoop up to get the most highest crit damage build as possible, and then when she hits the rocket, she kills fucking everyone. That's the idea. So that's what I was trying to do from the start of this game, and that's what we ended up doing up until now. Now, the other thing I want to say is about Garen as a unit. Garen is probably a must-hold unit all the time. Probably will be very contested. So if you read this, Emissaries, this trait is active when you have 1 or 4. So you either play one of them or you play all 4 of them. But basically, it's a team-wide buff that helps your whole team. Garen's is that he gives 20 HP, 20% of his HP to his left and his right. So Garen is very, very strong to just like power up your tanks. That's like the way you should look at it. You play Garen, he gives some extra HP to his left and the right, so you put your tanks next to him, and it's really, really strong. The other ones have other effects, which we'll probably go over time. You can read them yourself right now. But of them all, Garen is just a great extra frontline unit, just juices all your tanks, right? Or sorry, juices the 2 tanks next to him. We're also playing Echo and Vi. So Vi is for the Vi trait. I want to make some Vi items here. I got a spatula from loot subscription, but I don't have the ability to make a rebel emblem. I missed on the component carousel. The item carousel. I missed on the item like anvil. That's what it's called. So I couldn't make that. Here I just have 3 items on Jinx with, eventually I'll try and swap to better Jinx items, but I'm just putting my main tank items on Jinx. As you can see, the Jinx is starting to do a lot of damage with this rocket. Zoe also, nothing to sneeze at. She's doing a good part. If you look at the damage, my Zoe with just Morello and Shojin is doing almost as much damage as my Jinx. Albeit it's a Jinx 1, but just keep in mind that she is very, very strong. Zoe, I was surprised by how much damage this Zoe was doing. But here we're going to try and position ourselves to go to level 9. I want to get to higher levels, so maybe I can fit in 7 Rebel at one point. Here I'm just putting in Pit Fighter because that helps out my Vi. I haven't been talking too much about Vi because the Jinx has been the main focus, but I do have the Sisters trait because of my gold augment. I want Vi to live as long as possible because the longer the Vi lives, they synergize with each other, right? Jinx will kill, Vi will get more AD, then when Vi gets more AD, the Jinx will get more attack speed, right? Like they go back and forth. So I'm okay with Vi not being like the hard carry, but if Jinx starts killing units, then Vi is going to get a bunch of attack damage, and then it will kind of snowball like that. So I'm okay with my Vi having kind of tanky items. As long as my Vi lives, I'm getting some value off of the trait. But yeah, we're getting to that point where our board is becoming very, very strong. We're still not quite there yet. As you can see, I'm still losing some rounds. I know I just leveled to 9. I lost. You know, bear with me. It's okay. We'll be fine. But as you can see, I'm just playing this Garen now for a little bit of extra frontline because I think he's just a good fit. I have Pit Fighter in and Ambusher in, so it's okay, but eventually I'll probably want to switch out a little bit. I'm trying to figure out what's the best board. Here, for example, I can play more Ambushers and I get Scrap. Scrap converts a component into a completed item. This was what I originally wanted to do. I just wanted to stack Ambusher to get more crit chance on the Jinx to just like, you know, for full like science purposes. But now here I also get an extra component which I can use on the Echo. So as you can see, the Echo's component because of Scrap is going to turn into an Even Shroud. But we'll see how it goes. This guy's full Conqueror build, so that's a little bit scary. Conqueror, basically the way that Conqueror works is like it's all the Noxin units, and they like do this thing where they keep doing more. They get like cash outs, right? Like the more units that you kill, you get more cash outs, and those cash outs like make you stronger. When I played it, it was mostly like gold kind of cash outs. It wasn't like components or anything, but I'm not sure if the later cash outs are like that. Rebel Emblem on Carousel is interesting because now I can play 7 Rebel pretty easily with my board. So I'm going to go for this Rebel Emblem for sure. I don't think anybody else is playing Rebel in the lobby. But anyways, once I hit Jinx 2, then we'll really start to see the rocket damage. It's not as apparent right now because it's just like a really big AoE. But I'm sure you've noticed at some points the rocket going off and doing a shit ton. But yeah, I'm thinking it's not Ambusher. I'd rather have the other synergies. Right, I have this I always forget her name, girl with the mechanical arm, right? She's energized as Pit Fighter for Jinx. Pit Fighter gives Omnivamp and a little bit of like damage to the Jinx. So sorry, to the Vi. The Vi's a Pit Fighter. Jinx is Ambusher. But yeah, it's gonna be confusing to talk about this set for a while. Or I could just play 7 Rebel. So I decided to just try out 7 Rebel here. So right now I'm not really juicing my Vi at all. I think the optimal way to build this board is to have synergies for Vi as well as synergies for Jinx. So with Vi, you want to have Pit Fighter in, obviously, as that's probably like really important for her. But for the time being, it's totally fine. And I just absolutely delete the board. Yeah, hopefully this video has been fun so far. I'm trying to make it like somewhat informative. At the same time as explaining, so we'll see how these videos go. Like I said before, the next videos this week won't be as like top heavy with knowledge. It'll be more just me like fumbling and talking while I'm playing, because I'll probably upload those when I do it, like on like while I'm streaming. I'll just record the VODs and I'll just upload them without the post game analysis, if that makes sense. Rumble is Scrap and Sentinel, so if I can swap out a Sentinel and play Rumble, I'm kind of down. Rumble gets upgrades over time, like every three turns you can buy an upgrade to Rumble, so he scales really hard if you get it early. So always hold on to a Rumble. Here I'm playing the Black Rose board, so this is the summon. Did you see that? I should start pointing out the Jinx, but I was gonna point out more in the later fights. Do you see when the Jinx just like annihilates the whole fucking board? It's hilarious. But this guy was playing Black Rose. He got like 2 Black Rose spats or something, so he's very, very strong. Black Rose is like the summon trait, so the summoned Scion. I didn't get a proper like way to like build the board, like, you know, with the like I never had like a proper Black Rose spot, so I can't speak to it, like if you're supposed to like play it mostly reroll, if you're supposed to tempo for level because there's a 5-cost Black Rose, or if you're supposed to play like some mixed board and it's like an auxiliary trait. I'm not exactly sure how to play it, so I won't speak on it just yet. I'm gonna wait till I try it out at least one time. But it does seem pretty cool, I will say. Here I'm just looking for some sort of item. Adaptive Helm is just a good frontline item, so I'm kind of down to just take it. My items didn't really work out all that well, as you can see, but I probably want to put Rebel on Vi here, just so that the Vi gets like the bonus Rebel effects of like the attack speed and the damage debuffs and stuff, like, or the damage summon thing, the damage like proc thing as well. The problem is like this Savika, she scales pretty much only on AD, and I don't have any AD items for her. I have like Adaptive Helm and like Spark, so it's a little bit awkward. I forgot to put my Even Shroud on. I was just like, you know, I was looking at my item bench instead of like on the left at the like item column thing now that they have, so that's my bad. So this fight I probably could have won it if I had Even Shroud or anything to help me out, but this game's almost done. As soon as I hit Jinx 2, I'm pretty sure I just beat everybody. I have so much damage. So my Savika items are really bad. Don't worry about it. I wouldn't stress out too much. Also, could I have made a Rebel emblem with this? How do you make a Rebel emblem? I need to check that. Let me check right now. You make a Rebel emblem with a bow. So I don't have a bow, so I was kind of stuck there. That's okay. Okay, we have Jinx 2. Ready? Watch. So after 3 casts, she's going to shoot the rocket. Ready? Watch this rocket. And bang. And everybody dies. Now, this one wasn't that apparent because a lot of the board died already. Like I said, Savika, she pretty much, if you look at her rear ability, she like rolls a slot machine and then it like rolls one of her attacks. And they all scale off AD, so you really want to just build her like an attack fighter. Like, she's probably really good with like Deathblade Sterex, like something like that. Deathblade Sterex, Bloodthirster, right? You just want to have full AD because of how much scaling she has for AD. But you know, it is what it is. My items aren't perfect, obviously. I have like all these AP items, and I was trying to play towards like AD carries and AD lines. But yeah. Jinx is pretty broken. There's somebody in the chat that's probably already like upset. You know, they're typing Jinx is broken. But you know, it is what it is. Now I know, but they're probably gonna tune this down a little bit. But this is why I feel like you want a mana gen item, because if you look, This is her first cast. She does that little attack. It doesn't really do all that much. Then her second cast, she does the spawn of like she throws the bombs. And then this is her rocket, the third cast. Bang! The whole fucking board's dead. Isn't that crazy? It's fucking ridiculous. So I have like Mesa's Will, right? I have like their stacking crit chance, but this is why I was building for all this crit, right? Whenever you're building like these solid, like totally AD or solid crit builds, whenever you're building like these stacking builds like this, where you're like putting a lot in one particular stat, you really have to be able to one-shot. So I'm really trying to I'm trying to build my Jinx towards like the best one-shot build that I could. I think obviously like double IE, blue buff is probably better for that. But I'm totally down for it. I'm totally down for this. You know, just stacking glove components to make sure the crit chance is as high as possible. And then the anomaly as well adds to crit chance. So I'm just like full crit build here. You know, I don't know if it's how replicable this is, how easy it is to replicate this. But, you know, enough said. You know, I think we all know that Jinx is kind of really strong as a 5 cost in this set. I feel like it's pretty obvious. We'll watch it again. Like now this is like when I'm at my max damage, because basically my board is pretty much completed. So we could just admire you know, a PBE game went well. Ready, so the rocket's coming, and bang, everybody got hit for like 2,000 something damage. They're all fucking dead. You know, GG, shake my hand, I guess. We're just in waiting room now for the video to end. At the end of the video, we'll also review everybody else's boards, and I'll talk about them very slightly. And then we'll end the video like that. But anyways, this was the build I did. I don't think this is optimal by any means. Of course, I'm playing like Vi here. I think that if you're playing this without the Sisters Augment, you wouldn't want to play Vi. I'm also level 9. I tried to fit in Ambusher while keeping Vertical Rebel. A lot of this video is me trying out Vertical Rebel. I don't think necessarily Vertical Rebel is the most important thing, especially if you're like Jinx carry. You might want to make more frontline. Jinx is really reliant on getting the rocket cast, as you can see with the damage. She really doesn't do anything until the rocket comes out. So you want to, that's why I feel like you really want to have some sort of mana item on her. And you also need to have a certain level of sustain for your board, such that she actually gets to that massive rocket hit, right? So as you can see here, right, my board's dying pretty well. Like, you know, my front line died before their front line, but Rocket just wiped out the whole board anyways, so that's how we win it. So I feel like, you know, if I was trying to make this an optimal board, like if the other person's board was very optimal and my board was really optimal, I would focus more on making, like, you know, a little bit more of a front line. Like maybe hit something like 4 Sentinel, hit some extra Bruiser for some more HP, get some frontline upgrades, maybe play a Rumble, you know, like a 5 cost frontline unit. You want to have like a little bit of sustain up there, so that your rest of your board is supporting having Jinx make it to the rocket. Because I think the worst case scenario would be if your front line isn't good enough, Jinx doesn't get to the rocket fast enough, you don't have enough damage to kill everybody with the rocket, and then you just lose the game. Because Jinx, like I said, she's very like rocket heavy. It feels like she's not doing that much until she gets to rocket, and then rocket wipes the whole team. Here loot sub, I get a fawn, so you know, I'm just gonna make Tactician's Crown. I'm a little bit slow here just because, like, you know, it was a long day. This was like the last game I was playing, so I didn't actually get to roll down here at 70 gold on level 9. I was planning on rolling and trying to hit like a Lowy 3 or something. That's why I was holding some extra Lowies and Vi's on my bench. I was also planning on finding another ambusher, because the more ambushers you play, the higher the crit chance. As you can see, it's a 2, 3, 4, 5 trait, so I can actually play 3 ambusher here. But you know, it is what it is. We're probably just gonna win this. I don't see how anybody can beat this Jinx rocket. So you know, we just threw in a Jace for fun. And yeah, see, this is what I mean. My whole board died early enough, but you know, Jinx rocket, everybody's dead. See ya. And it's a first, right? It's a first in PBE, so, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But Jinx is very, very strong. If you want to play around Jinx, I definitely think it's mana item IE and then some other item. I had augments to really help that with attack speed and crit chance, so it worked out really well. So that's just the board that I decided to try out. I think Rebels are decent. I think Zoe does a lot of damage, especially in my mid game. Having Zoe 2 was really, really good to stabilize me. And there's good flex options, because if you don't have a Jinx, you can play around Zoe and then put items on an Ezreal that's also a rebel, and then you can sell Ezreal and put items on Jinx later, which is what I ended up doing. I think that works out really well as a game plan. I've also seen people play Corki with a similar setup, because Corki, you can just swap the Corki items onto Jinx eventually, so that also works out really nicely. The person here, this is like with the Scion. The Scion is the summon, so they were going like the full Black Rose build, and I think they were trying to like reroll Cassiopeia, which was a 3 cost. The other guy did like experiments, which was pretty cool. He had like Giga Urgot, and then the 4th place person was playing the Conquest or Conquer or whatever it's called, which is like the Noxus build where you get like cash outs. Usually you go Darius and Draven are rerolls for that, and they're like 1 cost, and then you usually cap out around Ambessa. I found that when I played Conqueror, the Ambessa was very, very strong, so I think Ambessa is a very, very good 4 cost unit. She's very hard to kill if you have a good build for her. And the rest of the stuff I'm not exactly sure. 8th place kind of FF, so the game was a little bit wonky. But anyways, hopefully that was enjoyable. I introduced some new stuff. I think this was a good video that just showed like a lot of different things with set 13. So if this is your introduction to set 13, I hope I did a good job of showing you a couple of the things, and that was fun for you. And yeah, we're gonna be continuing doing content every single day, the same as I've always been. Daily uploads for TFT, and it's gonna be set 13 from now on. It's gonna be PBE for the next week, and then on launch day I'm gonna be playing on launch as well. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.